Mr. Stafford here, and today I wanted to show you Unit 4, Lesson 1, using existing libraries and capabilities. The very first lesson level that we get into in this lesson asks us to predict the output. So it asks, what do you think will happen when you run this program? And then enter your prediction and briefly explain what you think that will happen. So go ahead, take a look at the program, do that now, pause the video, and enter in what you think will happen. And what we see that does happen is when we run this, we actually get an error, and it says error cannot find symbol scanner input equals new scanner system.in. So what we have left off here is we have not imported the utility package for our scanner objects, so this actually will not run. So we'll flow on to the next level. The next level asks us to find the scanner class in the Java API. So you can Google scanner class Java API, and what it's asking you to look for is the description of the class, its constructors, its methods, and the package that it's in. Once you're done with that, move on to the next level and compare it with the string class in the Java API. And again, you can Google string class Java API, and in the documentation it's wanting you to find the description, constructors, methods, and also the package that it's in. When you click finish, it's going to take you to a level where it asks you to explore the Google developers website, and you'll take a look at their APIs or application programming interfaces for Google products. And also they have Spotify for developers, which will give you access to the Spotify API to incorporate audio analysis and playback in other applications as well. So spend a few minutes, go ahead and pause the video and take a look at these. When we continue, on level number 5, it's asking us to find the API documentation for the playground, and you can find that in the help and tips. So we can click on this, open it up in another tab, and I center clicked it with my mouse wheel so I can have it on another tab. And then it says, then import the playground package in the button Java, simple game Java, and character Java files to run the program. So we need to do it in button, simple, and character, and it's already done for us in game control. And so we see import org.code.playground.star, and what that star means is every single class in this playground package is imported for us. So this playground documentation, there's several different classes. We see it started off with board class. The next one is clickable image class, image item class, and then there's several others. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and paste it in all the other classes that it asks me to. So I have it in button, simple game, and character. Okay, when we're done with that, go ahead and tick finish. I should probably run this, make sure that it saves everything. And we're able to play this simple game and attack this villain guy over here. Okay, we'll click finish. Alright, and it's asking us, in the Pop Balloons game, the user rolls 2 dice. Complete dice.java to represent each dice that will be displayed on the board. A dice has an image item array called dice images to represent each side of a dice, and the method getCurrentSide to get the image representing a specified value. Okay, so that's a lot to unpack. We're going to go through this step by step, and in step 1 it's asking me to go to the dice game and import the playground. So I actually already have it saved from the last level, and I just import org.code.playground .star, and that star again gives us every single class that's within that playground package. And then it says write the constructor for the dice, and it should take these parameters. okay, string array of file names in X position, in Y position, in width, and in height. So it's asking me to write the dice constructor, and what I'm seeing is it's already written for me, stubbed out at least with the parameters. Okay, so public dice string array file names in X position, in Y position, in width, and in height. One thing that's on my version of this level is on line 13, I have an extra, or 12, however we look at it, I've got an extra curly brace. And so what I'm seeing is, on line 13, that curly brace is ending the dice class. But I also notice that I have got other methods within this dice class. So what I'm going to do on line 12, I'm going to get rid of that curly brace so that now my the curly brace to end the class is on line 25, and I'm not going to get any issues with that. Okay. So then it says, in the constructor, initialize the dice images to contain 6 elements. So dice images is an image item array, and I am to initialize it. I'm going to copy it and paste it in here to contain 6 elements. So dice images is being initialized in the constructor equals new image item array, and it's going to have a length of 6. Okay, and then it's asking me to loop through the dice images array and set each element in dice images to an image object. And it wants us to use the game control create image method to create the image item objects from each element in file names. Okay, there's again a lot to unpack in this one bullet. So the first thing it asked me to do is to loop through the dice images array. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to make a for loop and go int I equals 0, and I is going to be less than dice images dot length I plus plus. Okay, so we're looping through the dice images array and set each element in dice images to an image object. So each element in dice images, okay, so I'm going to grab dice images, and at index I, I'm going to set it equal to, and it needs to be an image item. And it wants us to use the game control create image method to create the image item object from each element in file names. Okay, so let's take a quick look at game control, which is this class right here, and we need to find create image. So scroll down to where we find create image, and I see that this is a static method that returns an image item. Okay, so in dice images, we are trying to set each element to an image item. Okay, and this method create image returns an image item if we feed it these parameters: a file name, an X, a Y, a width, and a height. Okay, and so back to the bullet, it's asking us to use that method to create the image item object from each element in file names. So back in the dice class, in the constructor, we have this array called file names that's a string array. Okay, and this create image method, I'm going to grab that. This method returns that image item, but we need to feed it these parameters. Okay, so each element in file names, okay, is a string. So I'm going to say file names at index I, because it's an array of strings. And then I also need to give the rest of the parameters for the create image, which, if we remember, and we can go back to game control, find that create image, it's an X, it's a Y, it's a width, and a height right after the file name. Okay, and we are receiving into this constructor of dice an X position, a Y position, a width, and a height. So I'm going to use those parameters, X position, Y position, width, and height, for the parameters in create image. Okay, So let's go ahead and run this, see what we have. All right, I don't have any errors. It says pop the balloons. This game involves balloons that are numbered 1 through 10. Your goal is to pop all of them. You may pop any combination of unpopped balloons to add up to the sum on the dice. And it says welcome to Pop Balloons in a graphic of 2 dice showing sides 2. Okay, so we are finished with level 6. Click finish. Level 7 says next let's create a button that the users will click to roll the dice. Create a new class called roll button. So I'm going to copy that so I don't misspell it. And I'm going to create a new file, roll button, and don't forget .java. These are Java files, so it's rollbutton.java. I'm going to click create. And it says that extends clickable image. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do first. So I'm going to create my class header, so it's going to be public class roll button, and it's asking me to extend clickable image. So I'm going to say extends clickable image, open up the curly brace, okay, and then on to level 2 it says import both the playground and the java.io file not found exception packages. Okay, so I'm going to find another class like dice where I've imported the playground, copy that, go back to roll button. I'm importing the playground, and I also need to import this java.io.file not found exception. So import and then paste that. Okay, and then it's asking me to write the constructor for the roll button. Okay, so the roll button constructor has the same name as the class, just like all other constructors. So I'm going to say public roll button. And then it says look at the documentation for the clickable image in the playground to identify the parameters needed for the constructor. Okay, so I need to go to the playground documentation, and I am going to look for clickable image, but I want to look at the class. Okay, so this is add clickable image, this is remove clickable image, and now I finally come to the clickable image class. Okay, the constructor for the clickable image class is right here. It says public clickable image string file name int x, int y, int width, and int height, and these are the parameters that I want for my roll button, because what we're doing is we're creating a button that says roll, and I want it to be a clickable image. So everything that a clickable image has, I want my roll button to have, like a file name, an x, a y, a width, and a height. One other thing that we need to look at in the documentation, okay, looking at the parameters, you know, we have the file name, the x, the y, the width, and the height, but also we have this exception, okay. We imported the file not found exception, and this is also part of the constructor. So file not found exception if the file specified is not in the asset manager. So what we need to do is create this exception. We need to throw this exception. So this throws file not found exception right after the parenthesis and right before our curly brace opens for our constructor. Okay. All right, so we looked at that documentation. I believe that we're on step 4. Actually, I needed these parameters for the constructor, but I need to use them. And so keep in mind, we're extending this clickable image class. And so what I'm going to do is have clickable image class handle these parameters. So the way that we do that, since we're extending it, we are inheriting all the capabilities of clickable image. I'm going to use the super keyword and pass the file name, the x, the y, the width, and the height to our clickable image class and let it handle those parameters. Okay, now we're on to step 4 where it says implement the onClick method. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the documentation for clickable image, and I want to look at this documentation. It says public abstract void on click. So what abstract means is I need to implement this on click method in my class and specify how it works. Okay, and my class is that roll button class, so it's going to be public void on click. Okay, so I need to do public void on click, no parameters, and it says use game control play sound effect method to play the dice roll .wave sound. So I'm going to grab this game control .play sound effect, and we can take a look at that method in game control, which is right here, and it says we gotta find play sound effect, which is right here. So public static void play sound effect, I need to feed it a string that represents a file name. So going back to the roll button, the string that is the file name is this dice roll .wave, and I put it in as the parameters. I end that, and then it says look at the roll dice method in pop balloon game. So I'm going to go to pop balloon game, looking at the roll dice method. It says note that the method currently sets the dice left value to 2, and I see that here on line 20. Dice left value is 2, and dice right value to 3. That dice right value is 3. Okay. And if you remember back in one of the levels, it was describing this game, and when we add the values of the dice, it will appear on the screen. So it's just noting that if the left dice is 2 and the right dice is 3, you add those together, the sum of those values should be 5. So that's one check to see if we've done this correctly. Okay. So back in roll button, in our on click method, it says call the pop balloon game roll dice method in the on click method. So underneath the sound, I'm going to copy and paste pop balloons game dot roll dice. The roll button dot java to roll the dice. Okay, very good. So if I run this, nothing. The roll button hasn't shown up yet. Okay, our roll button hasn't shown up yet. I don't have any errors, it looks like. So we need to test our button. So it's asking me to uncomment the following lines to test our roll button object. So in game display, this is the class that's going to display our game. We need to uncomment line 9. So line 9, you can remove those comments. Line 19, oh, I'm in the wrong class. I'm in game control, so I'm going to go Control C. And the way I caught that is it's told me to uncomment line 19. Line 19 is already uncommented, so I'm in the wrong class. I need to go to game display, which is right here. Okay, game display. I'm in the right class. Uncomment line 9. Uncomment line 19. And line 19 is that show roll button, okay, which is the class that we just created, which was the roll button. And then line 63 to 72. So flow down to 63 to 72. A quick way to uncomment is to highlight the lines, and then I'm holding Control, and I hit the slash button for the comment, which also has the question mark, and so I uncommented all of those. Now just to be clear though, line 63 is a comment. So even though it said to uncomment it, it should still be commented out, okay? Because this is a comment, and we uncommented the show roll button method. And this is just documentation above it that says creates a roll button and display it on the board. And then it says in game control, so I'm going to go to the game control class now, and it says on line 8 I need to uncomment that, and line 37 to 45 needs to be uncommented, so I'm going to highlight those, hold Control, and then the comment button. 37 to 45, I'm going to stop this, I'm going to run it. I see the roll button pop up, click it, and you should hear a rolling sound. And it says pop balloons to total 5. And again, those left dice and right dice values totaled up to 2 and 3. Even though we're not displaying it, 2 plus 3 is 5, which is being displayed here. And that's it for lesson 1.